Amandla! Amandla! Viva SACP, viva! Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Director of the program, Comrade Thulas Nxesi, the General Secretary of the SACP, and other national officials of the party present here, our National Chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, the Executive Mayor of Ekurhuleni, Austimpo, and the entirety of the Hani family, the Vice President of Cosatu, comrades and friends. I want to thank the SACP for inviting us as the ANC to deliver a message of support on the anniversary of the brutal assassination of Chris Hani in 1993, an event that President Nelson Mandela referred as a deed so foul. Chris was born on the 28th of June 1942 to Gilbert and Nomaise Hani in the Sibalele village in Ofimvaba. On the Sunday of the 10th of April 1993, just as the country was celebrating Easters, a heartless, anti-communist assassin, Janus Walus, ended his life in Don Park here in Boksburg. The assassin widowed his wife, Austimpo Hani, and made their children, Lindiwe, Neo, Nomakwezi, fatherless. The day was one of the darkest hours in South Africa's history. After Chris's father had explained the brutality of apartheid and the ANC's vow to end it, Chris was keen to join immediately, but his age, 12 years, was preventing him to do so. But at 15 years at Lovedale, he joined the ANC Youth League, defying the school regulations forbidding black students from participating in political activities. His internationalist approach against injustice saw him participating in the Wankie campaign, where he distinguished himself as a member and soldier of the Luthuli detachment. The struggle for our country was inextricably linked to the entirety of our region. As the second most popular leader after Nelson Mandela, Chris appealed to a swathe of radical young people. His untimely death robbed us of our hero. Our military wing, Umkhonto Wesizwe, lost its chief of staff. He was a fearless soldier who talked truth to power. In 1969, with 6 other comrades, he co-signed the Hani Memorandum, which was critical of some of the leadership when it pertained to Umkhonto Wesizwe. Female MK combatants appreciated and respected Chris for protecting their rights in the camps and promoting their well-being. Chris was a commander who never issued instructions that he would be reluctant to do himself. He led by example. What the assassin managed to do was what the apartheid regime had failed to do. Hani had to relocate to Zambia because he was always living under the threat of assassination while in exile in Lesotho. He was aware of the threat to his life. After 3 decades in exile, he admitted as much when he returned to our country of his birth, when he said, "I have lived with death most of my life. I want to live in a free South Africa, even if I have to lay down my own life." In 1992, an attempt was made on his life in central Johannesburg. A young black male tailed him around the corner of our offices. The would-be assassin entered a nearby hair salon and ignored questions about what he was doing there. Reaching for his pocket, he cocked a firearm. He dashed across the road and the saloon assistants followed him. When they saw Hani nearby, they warned him of the danger he was facing. The would-be assassin ran to the other side of the road where 2 white men in a Toyota Cressida awaited him. The vehicle took off at high speed. Its number plate was a false one and belonged to a trailer. Close to 30 years later, the full truth about his death is still elusive. The family is put under pressure to allow the assassin's release on parole without him revealing all his co-conspirators. Each time, the Hani family and South Africans have rejected the applications for his release. One conspirator, Clive W. Lewis, had his death sentence commuted to life in 1995 and passed away in 2016 after being granted medical parole. Chris could have been a scholar had he not joined the anti-apartheid struggle. Registering for English, Latin, and modern and classical literature at Fort Hare University, his love for classics was well recorded. He would now and then quote from Latin text. He chose the struggle, preferring to fight apartheid than play sport. Hani's death forced the apartheid government to concede to a quicker date for the first democratic elections. However, the pain of the family and the SACP, of which he was the General Secretary, and South Africans in general, cannot be forgotten. The democracy that we enjoy today owes its existence to Hani's and many other comrades' blood. His name will forever be etched in the history of our struggle for freedom and justice. When our generation examines the country's history and its fight for freedom, Hani's name will be with the most dedicated cadres of our movement. 29 years after his assassination, Hani still speaks to us. His life was celebrated with 8 posthumous citations and military medals. The University of Cape Town named a lecture hall in his honor. The Chris Hani Memorial Lectures continue to honor him. There are many other recognitions by various institutions and organizations which keep Hani's dedication to the cause of his people very much alive. Despite his excellent leadership, Hani allowed to be led by his political seniors. When the ANC suspended the armed struggle in August 1990, it was a strategic, even though unpopular, decision. After 15-hour marathon negotiations, the state then conceded to a phased release of 1,300 prisoners and a return of more than 22,000 from exile. As a commander, he was the one who had to persuade soldiers to follow the political decision. This might have been difficult for a commander, but he felt fully behind the political decision. Hani's assassination came when he was on the road to preach peace and reconciliation. Some elements of the white establishment did not want peace and were bent on continuing their unjust rule over black people. In 1993, a series of seminal papers on the future of Marxism was delivered at the University of California by a French philosopher, Jacques Derrida. Derrida collated the lectures into a book dedicated to Chris Hani. At the 8th conference in Komani in the Eastern Cape, just this last Saturday, NEC member Dr. Motsoaledi appealed to ANC members to do good to the name of their district. He complained that there was a tendency of naming things after our icons, but doing the direct opposite after that. Institutions named after him should emulate his dedication to his people. Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, the biggest on the African continent, should prioritize its service to its patients in the manner Hani would. The Tembisile Hani local municipality officials should also do justice to the name they were named after. Hani never aspired to positions. When Joe Slovo did not avail himself because of ill health in 1991 at the first Congress after our unbanning, Hani's name was raised. Hani declined the nomination because of the conflict of interest, as he was the then Chief of Staff of MK. When the delegates insisted, Mandela relented and released him from the position. All contestants should have the same level of reasoning rather than be ready to eliminate their opponents to gain position. We should be well advised. We should be well advised not to have our leaders chosen by institutions outside the electoral process and who are not in our organizations. Members of the alliance should continue to take a leaf from Hani's selfless leadership. The alliance has faced numerous challenges and needs to refocus to find lasting solutions. For example, each time labor statistics are released by States SA, we hold our collective breath because the numbers of unemployment are rising. Members should apply themselves to the changing patterns. As the world of work changes, we should adapt to it and introduce education and training that will respond to it. Our alliance was forged in the anvil of oppression by the white government. When Hani was assassinated, the shock reverberated through our country, and the ANC suffered a big blow in the middle of negotiations. Thanks to the ANC's leadership of Mandela, who seized the moment to make advances. Despite the assassination's brutality and intention of inciting a civil war, they strengthened their hands in negotiations. The assassination exposes the double agenda of the National Party leadership. Without the means to quell the anger, it was left to the ANC leadership under Mandela to refocus attention on the issue at hand. It was shown during Hani assassination, Mandela and other leaders managed to cool our tempers. We were very hot, Comrade Blake, you remember that, and brought the country from the throes of destruction. The alliance's superior sense of the country's destiny prevailed. When police found a list of 19 names to be assassinated, it was clear that the intention was to throw the country into turmoil. Hani was third on that assassination list. The ANC supports all efforts of the SACP in getting to the bottom of Hani's assassination. There are many loose ends and many allegations. While we support the truth, we should always be careful not to be misdirected by the marketed conspiracy theories. The alliance should be safeguarded from external forces which wish for demise since it was consummated in the 1950s. The efforts to create a schism in the alliance always surface towards the general elections. Many negative forces goad the partners to go it alone. They cast doubts on the effectiveness of one without the other. They do not out of love for the alliance, but of desire to destroy our solid relations. In October 1992, the apartheid Minister of Injustice, Nkobi Memorial, was more forthright about his hatred for the alliance. Like many others after him, he called on the ANC to cut links with the Communist Party and emphasize particularly one Chris Hani. Corruption has become endemic in our society. Political charlatans aspire to office because they want to amass illegal wealth and self-aggrandize. Funds to improve lives of the poor are misappropriated by scrupulous officials. What would Chris be saying when his organization is eating itself out of existence? What do we do today to prevent many anti-alliance pundits about our chances for electoral victory in 2024? To honor Hani, we need an overwhelming electoral victory. What lessons can we learn from Chris Hani's leadership to return the dignity of our organizations to its past glory? He would have realized that a hidden hand is encouraging these divisions. Chris Hani speaks to us today because he seeks unity of purpose. This is what he lived for, and that is what he died for. He never sought personal glory. He sought to serve the undivided movement for the total emancipation of all South Africans. As this movement fights against itself and is dominated by cliques and infighting, Chris is very sad that his beloved organization is ripping itself apart. In his honor, we need to be fighting divisions and factions. Chris would love nothing more than to see his organization united once more. He would be asking us to be true to our values to continue improving our people's lives. On this 29th anniversary of this cowardly act, the ANC stands fully behind the SACP. Long live the spirit of Chris Hani, long live.
Long live.
Long live SACP, long live.
Long live.
Long live the Alliance, long live.
Long live.
Thank you.